day and texting me, and it's not cooperating. Did I have Zoom on the entire time? I think I did. Hi, guys. We will get started in just a little bit. How is everyone?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I saw that you can't make tomorrow, so yes, Wednesday works perfect.
Okay, perfect. And then should I just come there, or do you want to just do it on the computer?
Up to you. I can do either. If you live, because where do you live?
I live in Prior Lake, but I actually would love, I like coming and being in person, but
Come on in.
Okay, I will come on in then.
Because yeah, no preference on my end, more whatever works for you.
Okay. I think it's just easier in person.
Yeah. Now, have you got your MLS login?
No, so SPAR, I just got my license this morning. So SPAR hasn't contacted me yet. I'm guessing they're gonna call me, well, maybe tomorrow, but
okay. So it'll be a little hard for you to follow along,
okay.
But at least you can watch, and it will be recorded. So
should I wait and then until Friday?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Have you done the 2 forms classes with Melissa?
No, I have not.
Okay. So next month, you'll want to make sure you take those classes.
Okay.
What we've been doing is she does her buyer boot camp and her seller boot camp once a month. And then I follow up with Instanet and Command boot camp.
Okay.
So
I wonder if that's what Jessica was telling me, that was there one that was pre-recorded that I can watch?
Maybe.
I wonder if that's what Jessica was talking
buyer
about.
and seller boot camps are always recorded, so maybe she was talking about those.
Okay.
I honestly have no idea.
So should I even be in this class right now?
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Some of the stuff might just be a little confusing, and I'll probably click once you take the forms class.
Okay.
The forms classes talk about how to fill out the forms. Today's class is how to get the forms signed and like all of that stuff taken care of. And then tomorrow I have Command Boot Camp, which is how to actually get them into Command and how to get them uploaded for the office.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was planning on coming to that one as well.
That works. Yeah.
But if you think it's too out of order, it's going to be too confusing, I can certainly wait and do it the other way around.
It probably will make a lot more sense for you if you do it the other way.
Okay.
But
I feel like I'm already overloaded right now, so I'm just wondering if maybe I should do
I
that.
would probably honestly wait till next month, only because
Okay.
I haven't got you into command yet, and some of the stuff
Okay.
will be like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay. So, and that's for the class for tomorrow you're talking
Yep.
about. Okay. But today you think it's still okay?
Today you could still take.
Okay. Okay. So I'll skip tomorrow then, and I'll wait
Okay.
till next month. Okay.
Just make sure to take it next month.
Okay.
All right, so we'll get started. Wendy is in person in the office, so if I'm like talking back and forth, you're not confused. Welcome. Who else is on? Who is 651? Oh, hi. I was like, I have no idea who 651 is. All right, so we will get started. Welcome. Glad you guys joined me. This is going to go, like I was telling Christine, this class is going to be the Instanet portion of how to do forms. Broker Melissa went over how to fill out the form, so that way you're compliant and your clients are taken care of and the broker's taken care of and you're taken care of and all that fun stuff. And this is more of the actual how to actually do the forms. So as long as you have your MLS login, how you will get into Instanet is matrix.northstarmls.com, and then you will log in with your MLS number. And then let's move you. So there's two ways. I've customized my dashboard a little bit already, so yours might not look the exact same, but under external links, there's a button called Minnesota Realtors Forms Transaction Desk, or under tools, Transaction Desk is right there. It does take a little bit to load. Apparently not that long because it went pretty quick. This is Transaction Desk. Again, mine will possibly look very different from what yours will look like. Again, because I've customized it. I like to teach you how to actually customize your dashboard so that way you're efficient in your time and that way it's not super confusing. For those who just joined me, we are doing Transaction Desk. So if you want to log into the MLS and follow along, it's under Tools and Transaction Desk. So how you actually change this dashboard so it makes sense for you, that little lock and unlock button is your friend. And then you can actually select and drag anything that you want. I like keeping it pretty simple. So I have all my signings, so my AuthentiSign form, so I can quickly get to a standalone form if I need to. My favorite is the transactions. And then I have easy buttons for create transaction and upload documents. But you can literally do anything you could possibly want and add anything you want. Make sense, guys? All right, so we're going to start on the listing side first. So you have Transaction Desk, you're in here. If you've added the create transaction button to your dashboard, you can click on create transaction. Otherwise, if you click on this little house over on the left, you can be brought into that list of transactions as well. So I'm going to click on add. And then what you title it, what I would suggest is, since we're going over listings first, I would suggest to title it the listing address. So that way you don't have to try to remember what the address is. It's right there. Templates. Once you create your own templates, you will have your templates here. Otherwise, there are 3 templates already sort of started for you. What templates are all of the forms that are either required or could be possibly required. There's going to be some forms that might not make sense for a particular deal, and that's totally fine. You don't have to fill them out, but it will have the ones that do make sense, like the listing contract, agency disclosure, all of that fun stuff. So we're going to select KWPR listing paperwork. Now, one word of caution, if you do import data from Northstar listing and choose the last time it was listed, all of the information from that previous listing will fill out, including the old listing agent. So I would suggest to not utilize that, just because mistakes happen, you miss things. I would rather have you have to type in a couple more lines than try to find where you missed changing the name on someone. You can do realist. What that does is pulls from the tax records. That is probably going to be your friend, because that will pull in the legal description and any information directly out of the tax records. And what that looks like is literally you select realist, you select the county, and then you can do that little magnifying glass and you can search for it. What I would suggest is, as you're learning Instanet and Transaction Desk, either use your own address or wrong thing, or use a random address that you want to buy, and basically act like you're selling it and act like you're buying it. I know Jess gives you that as part of your homework, is to treat your own house as your purchase or a sale. And that way you actually will learn the paperwork more. What am I missing?
The street number is a house number.
Oh,
I just did the same thing.
I was like, what am I doing? Clearly, I have not done this lately. There we go. I was like, what is going on? And then it will pull up the PID number, the parcel number, and you'll be able to select it. And then you will add yourself either as, well, for listing, it'll be the seller's agent. I like using the wizard because it literally walks you through what you need to do. And that way you don't have to question that you did it in order or whatever. Just use the wizard, it's super easy. Once you are in wizard, you're going to start filling in some of this information. So because I use realist, all my legal description will automatically fill in. And then you just go through some of the other information. Now, if you don't have the information, like if you don't know what zoning class it is, that's fine. Don't worry about it right now. And if you don't know the listing price yet, that's totally fine too. What this is going to do for a brand new listing, it's going to fill in a lot of the same information. So anytime you have like the address on a form, that stuff will get populated for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And then you go to the next page. If you already know that the seller's for sure going to sign with you and you know it's going to be today or whatever day, you can set that up. Expiration date. I personally like putting it at the end of December because that way it's the same expiration date every single time. I do this for both buyers and sellers. because it's a listing, you won't have offer dates or closing dates yet. So you go to the next step, and this is where you can actually add your client's information as well. So that way all of their information populates. So if you click on that add button, you're going to click on create new transaction contact, and you're going to say, what is it? So this case is the seller. And then put in the email. And you're going to want to save it to your address book so you have them for future transactions, especially if you are doing both the selling of their property and buying a new property. It'll make your life easier. And you'll click save. So now we have the KW broker, we have me as the agent, and then James as the seller. We're going to go next. So these are going to be all of the forms in that template. What I would suggest is make sure you go through and delete any that you know you're not going to need. So if you know that they're going to fill out the regular seller property disclosure and not the alternatives, I would just click these 3 dots and delete those right off the bat. So that way there's no confusion. Same thing with lead-based paint. This house was built in 91, so I would just get rid of that so I wouldn't try to send that to my clients. Same thing with the septic and the well. Now, if you don't know if these apply or not, just leave them until you know that they apply or not. Now I have all my forms that I'm going to have signed or filled out. I can click on next, and then I can finish the wizard. So now all of the forms are right in the middle. You can pull up the forms on the right side, and what you're going to do is you're going to start filling out the forms. So for the most part, we're going to stick in listing contract because a lot of the process is going to be the same. So we're going to go to listing contract. And what I like to do is start at the top and just tab through every single one of the boxes to make sure that they are filled out. What I like to do is set up my own templates with some of these boxes already filled out. So like this page 2, I would have already checked on my templates. It's not, may not. Just scroll through and make sure all the boxes are filled out the way you need to, or they need to be. And all of this information will have been gone over in Broker Melissa's class. That is why I'm not going over how you should be filling or what you should be filling in. Typically, I will have this selected because I will have already had this conversation with my clients. If for some reason my clients already have a closing agent that they want to use, I would simply change it. And again, I would have already had the conversation about agency relationships. And then we're at the bottom of the listing contract. So we got all of that all filled out. You want to make sure you click save. You can either save it and come back to it, or click save and exit right here. What you're going to do is literally fill out all of the forms that you are going to need to utilize and get signed. So like agency relationships, there's nowhere to really fill out. It's just going to be a signature spot, but still good practice to just double check, make sure there is nowhere until you get used to the forms. For me, I always have everything withheld, so I will always have that filled out. And you just go in and make sure the dates are put in that matches your listing contract. And then save. What I like to do is for the showing in or the MLS input form is I will have them, my clients sign this first page, and then I will go in and fill out the rest. Just because chances are I don't know the information until after I get the listing contract signed. And the reason why you need to have this first page is it is technically a disclosure to your clients. And you will get dinged if it is missing. And then the rest of the input form is how Angela or the front desk can actually input your listing. So all of that information needs to be input. One word of, not really caution, but advice. In the listing input, when you do start to fill it out, anything that says black box or black oval, fill it out. If it's missing and it's applicable, obviously like 227, 228, 229 says Rochester only. So you don't have to do that unless it's Rochester. But anything else with those black boxes and ovals, you have to fill out. Otherwise, it cannot go on the MLS because Angela will not be able to actually save it. Lots of clicking in, making sure everything's filled out the way it needs to. So this one, there's a seller. You'll have this conversation with your seller if, ooh, hey, buttons. You'll have a conversation if your seller is going to permit you to divulge multiple offers to potential buyers. And you're going to get it signed. Affiliated business. Just double check there's nowhere to fill out anything. Seller estimate proceeds. That's the old one. I need to fix that. What you'll do is you'll fill in the potential listing price as well as an alternative listing price. And you'll fill in the information that you've been given, whether it's mortgage or where's the taxes? The taxes, you'll fill in that information and then put in the estimates on the rest. So that way you get an estimated to proceeds to seller and get that signed as well from your clients. And then arbitration. Make sure there's nothing to fill out, which there is, but that'll be a blank because this is before you've got an offer. All right, so we've gotten all of that filled out. What then you can do is select all. I personally like having my seller's property disclosures with me at my listing appointment because I have them hand fill that out because it's less likely to get things missed as instead of having them filled out in digital format. If you want to do it digitally, there is a way to do it. And I can show you how. I just like having it pen signed so that way there's less chance of them like missing a page or whatever. So I'll deselect that for that time. So now all of my stuff that I could possibly need to be filled out is going to be selected. And now all I have to do is click this little basket button. And there's a bunch of options that you have up top. We're going to go right to the sign in because it has a couple documents. All right. This is where your clients will actually sign it if it's being electronically signed. Sign in line and simul-sign. Sign in line you will literally set up the signing order. That makes sense if you have a reason to actually do that. Like if it's a estate sell. I've seen if your sellers share the same email address. That way, I've had that happen where they share the one email address, but I needed them to both sign. And so I did sign in line. So that way one of them would get the email, sign it. And then once that person signed, the second person would get the email. Otherwise, what would happen would be both emails got sent at the same time and they didn't know who was signing. So I just did the sign in line for that one to make it easier. So use the simul-sign, first come, first serve, unless you know of a reason that it makes sense to sign it in order. You'll come down to participants and you'll notice because of the transaction contacts, the information will automatically populate, and there is spots for agents assigned. So you'll want to put yourself as a remote signer and select your client and just simply click add. And then you go to your documents. What I would suggest is put these in an order that would make most sense for your clients. Definitely put agency up towards the top and then simply click on those 5 lines and drag and move the rest of the information. For me, I'd probably put the affiliated and additional disclosures. And that's probably pretty good. And then you're going to click on design. And this is where we sit and wait. All right. So you will notice there are signature spots already put in here. And you move videos again. What I would like you to do is simply scroll through and make sure that there's nothing missing. You've already filled out the form, so this is a good spot to double check that everything's filled out the way you expected it to be filled out. And you have time to go back and change it if you don't, and it needs to be changed. And I can see that there is no initial spot for some reason automatically populated. So I'm going to select my seller, click drag and drop, and click initial here, and put that in the initial spot. And put the signature there. And because I need a sign, I go find myself. And all I'm doing is doing a lot of dragging and dropping. Click, drag, drop. I have no idea why these don't have signature spots. Jess, have you noticed the listing contract not have signature spots before?
If it's a KW document, if it's a KW form, then it won't. If it's an MLS form, it will. So like when you scroll down, if you look at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, but that says it's MNAR.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems weird.
Okay. I'm just like, this should totally have a signature.
Like ours that we create and upload, they won't automatically put it in there.
Well, they should, they just,
Yeah.
for some reason, didn't.
Like
Well-
our disclosures.
Yeah.
They don't usually have to walk in there.
Well, this is a good example of double check and make sure things are the way you expect them to be. Because I don't know why there's no signature blocks here. Or date blocks for that matter. So yeah, you gotta watch a lot of dragging and dropping apparently on this one. One thing you'll notice, I've been using the date stamp over here to put the date. You can also click this little cogwheel when you have the signature line selected and add the date stamp as well and move it however you need to. If you made a mistake, super easy, click the delete button. Or if you need to change the signer, you can change for that block or for all blocks. That's usually the big uses of that little cogwheel. Or if you need, if you want to copy, you can copy that way too. Like that, there's signature spots already. Oh, I missed a form to sign. So I'd probably go back before I sent this out and delete that form. Even the input's missing. What the heck is going on? I don't know what's going on. And then just make sure at the bottom of the proceeds, if you're using this one or using the other one, make sure you get them to sign it. And the arbitration, you can have them sign now, or you can just simply give them to them so that they have the arbitration form so they can look at it on their own time. So we're going to go to next. I'm going to close because I don't actually want to send it, because I'm going to go in and show you how you can get rid of forms that you either had it added by accident or don't actually need signed. So this showing instruction form is the one that we don't need, or I don't need right now. So I can delete it right here. And yes, I want to permanently delete it. So now all of the forms are taken care of. Makes you go through and double check the signings once more. Make sure that it actually stayed, so it's saved. Now you can click next, and what will happen is you can either customize the email. So usually what I do is just say, here's the paperwork we talked about for your signatures or something like that. Or you can just leave them generic and just simply send invites. And James is always my guinea pig, so he'll get the random email of what the heck is this and be confused. So we are still in the transaction, and now you see that we are in signings. So what this is going to be that signing that we just processed, and it's going to say that it's processing. That means when you try to click on it, that's going to tell you that it has not got fit or hasn't processed to send out. Excuse me. Now this one is now in progress. So if you click on it, it will tell you who has clicked on it and signed it. Obviously, this one has neither. So what I'm going to do is go in and show you what it will look like after it is signed. So now I completed it on my part. So now I can see that I have authenticated the signature and I have signed the signatures. If when you are sending these to clients, when a lot of times what will happen is they will start signing, but they won't finish signing. So this is a good spot to actually be able to identify what they're doing. Most of the time what will happen is if they said they've signed it and you haven't received an email saying they've signed it, check in here, because 9 times out of 10, it's probably the flags under authenticated completed, but signed has not been completed. So just let them know, hey, go back in there and click complete. Otherwise, it doesn't complete it. That usually happens more times than not. Makes sense? Any questions? Once you have a complete signing, I'm going to just show you what a complete one looks like. You will get a approved little flag. Once you open that up, you can then, there's a section called separate signed documents. That is where you can then download individual documents and then upload them into Command, which you will learn about tomorrow. All you have to do is click on it and view as PDF and save it to your computer. And the reason why I'm having you do the separate signed documents, that will make your life easier when you get around to uploading it to Command. Make sense? Any questions? Perfect. So that was how to do the listing documents. To do the buyer documents, what I like to do is I will pull up the property on the MLS. And on the property page, there is a little green sunburst that when you scroll over it, it says Instanet. It's under the pictures. And I will click on that little button. And what will happen is it will prompt me to create a transaction. I can choose the template, and this time around, it's going to be the purchase agreement. And then from there, you'll notice the import data. Since this is the buy side, absolutely keep the MLS data, because that will bring in a lot of stuff that you don't have to fill out then. And this time around, you're going to be buyer's agent. Wait for it. From here, you'll make sure you fill in some of the information. So for this case, if you are putting the offer in, you know how much your client wants to put as an offer, 30,000. And you know what they want to include or exclude or any of that information. So you'll fill in some of that information. You'll put what the day of the offer is. If you want to use an offer expiration date, you can. You'll put in when the closing date is. And the possession date will automatically match the closing date. So if you wanted a different possession date, you would need to manually change it. And then I will add, and because I saved my previous contact, I can go in and find him. He's probably lots, so we're going to add him to this transaction and change him from a seller to a buyer. So now I have my information, brokerage information, and my buyer information. And then just like listings, I will go through and make sure I can delete anything that I likely won't be using. If you've already signed your buyer representation contract, I would probably delete that. But if you haven't, then that's a good spot for you to have it. And some of the information like the sale of buyer's property, if you don't have that as a contingency, you could probably delete that. You could probably delete the counteroffer until you have one. Arbitration, if the seller hasn't included in the disclosures, you can leave that. If it's not a condo, I would delete that. And then for future reference, I would probably leave the addendum and amendment. I just wouldn't fill it out right away. And that didn't delete. And then you can finish that wizard. So now, just like the listings, you'll go into your forms and you'll start filling in all of the information that you would possibly need. Again, start at the top and just tab your way through to make sure you have all the information filled out. Tab room. And make sure everything's filled out. And then just rinse and repeat. You'll just go through all of the documents, make sure it's filled out the way you need it to be, based on what broker Melissa talked about. And then purchase agreement is going to be one of your longer ones. So again, just start at the top and scroll and tab through each box, so that way you for sure are not missing anything. And double check if it's a mortgage. If you have any percentage in the mortgage financing, this first section should be filled out on page 2. If it's all cash, then you get to skip that section. And if it's finance, you select which financing it is. Because I selected cash, I get to skip a lot of these. And you just go through and double check that what makes sense. Make sure you read and double check for the ors and the ands and weird line breaks. There's none of that. Warranty deed. Whoa, hey. A lot of this information will be pulled off of the MLS or from when you looked at the property with your buyers. And once you get to the bottom, again, save and exit. So once you finish all of the different documents, okay, double check something. So one of the latest updates for the MLS and transaction desk is if there's a supplement in the MLS, there would be that little piece of paper right below the picture image right up there. Let's see if I can find one. So it says there are supplements available for that property. If there was supplements, what would happen is it would automatically pull into your documents, and then you can automatically get that signed as well. Since the one I pulled does not have supplements, you'd need to get that property disclosure from the selling agent. And you would have that conversation with the listing agent when you make the phone call and see if there's any offers and all that fun stuff. But since there's not, I won't be able to show you. Just like before, you'll select all of the different ones or different forms that you need to get filled out and signed by your client. And again, hit the basket button. And we're going to sign it. And the same exact way, you're going to start at step 1 and work your way down. Since this deal does not have supplements, I will show you how you upload them to get them signed. So when you're in the documents, you can click on Add Documents and pull in from your computer. Good, we'll use that one, whatever PDF that one is. So it will get added to the bottom of the page. Oh, let's not do that one. That was a big one. Just kidding. I don't want to sit and wait for that to process. Let's see, where's the PDF? I'll use that one. That one looks small. So now we have all the forms, and if this were the supplements, that would be at the bottom, and you click Design. Just like the listing, you go through, start at the top and scroll through and make sure everything has a signature spot that should. If not, you add it. Make sure everything's filled out the way you need to. I will not bore you by showing you how to drag and drop again until I get to the bottom, which will act like is the disclosures. So say this was the seller's disclosures you got from the listing agent, just like the adding the signature spots where it didn't auto-populate, you would simply say who needs to sign it, drag and drop, and sign here, and put it where it needs to be signed, and add the date stamp. That's all you gotta do. And once you're done, click Next, and send the invites. Any questions?
So going back to where you're deleting the documents that you don't need.
Yeah.
If you accidentally delete one that you do need, how do you add it back?
Perfect question. Zoom, if you didn't hear that, she said where you are deleting the documents that you don't need, is there a way to add them back? So say I deleted something by accident. I'm in the transaction that I need to be in. I can go over to Forms, and on the top corner, there is an Add button. This also applicable if the template so the templates that are in here are very basic. They're not going to have every single form that could possibly ever be used. It's going to just have the most commonly used ones. You can either go through and click through all the different forms, or you can search for what form you needed. So say it was, seller's probably a bad one. Let's go with disclosures. I'll start typing the disclosures and then find the form that I need to add and simply add it back into the room, or add it initially into the room. And if it's one of those Minnesota realtor forms, all of the stuff that's in that details page from your wizard will automatically populate in there for you. Any questions? I know it's super exciting. Lots of fun. This is how you get paid. So it's lots of fun. Any questions, Zoom? What I want you all to do is treat yourself as a buyer and seller. Jess, you're still making them do that, right? Kind of.
Well, I think it fits better in this part. So, so yes, you can assign it and then they turn it into.
Perfect. That's your homework. So you are going to set yourself up to either, well, both. You're going to buy your house and you are going to sell your house. And you are going to send said contracts to Jessica.
Yes, and can you show them how to do the email to them, or they email it to me and it gives them editing capabilities?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what I will want them to do with that. And
Gotcha.
then when they do that with their actual offers.
It's sent via email, right? Yep. I was like, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, so hit that one.
So you'll select the forms.
Yep.
What you'll do, fill out the forms just like you would. Send them or select them, add the basket, and then send via email. And then what you will do is,
and this is super important, so take a screenshot of this slide, because this is the part where you get to it and you're like, how do I do this again?
Yeah.
Because there's so many things.
Yeah. So you'll put in Jess's name and her email, and you'll say my homework.
Yeah.
And you'll send a message. And then this lovely little box, allow editing of forms. So that way, Jess can help you with any oopses that you may have made. And I'd much rather have you make oopses with your fake purchase and sell than a real client. So.
Right, and then you've got you've got that sample that you can always look back at.
Yep.
To see how you filled it out. And, you know, sometimes people like to have it printed out. Sometimes they only want it digital. Whatever you want to do.
Whatever floats your boat, I'm okay with.
Yep. And then when it comes time for you to do your own, it won't be the first time you're doing this.
Yes.
Right?
You're practicing on yourself, just like scripts. You practice with a partner and not on your client. Questions? Awesome. That is all I have for you today. Hopefully, most of you will be here tomorrow. It would be great, amazing, if you at least had the buy side or the sell side of your stuff done by tomorrow at 2. Because then I will show you how to utilize command to put said buy side
Good.
or
What time
sell.
is door knocking?
Door knocking is 10 to 11.
Okay.
And this
Yep,
is at
11
2.
to 2.
Oh yeah, you've got plenty of time. So I will see you at 2 or next month. Thanks, guys.
Good, thanks, Sammy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hire one time.